long time ago, we were told stuff like, you too can be a wealthy, whatever it is you want to be. All you have to do is work hard.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Don't be like those lazy liberals who get handouts all the time. Poor people get handouts and they're losers. But you, if you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you can be just like me, where my yacht has a yacht.
Welcome back to another episode of Mildly Alarmed. I'm Nina, here with Justin again. We are finally back after we took a week off because we barely survived Charlotte Motor Speedway, which we'll talk about on turn 4 this week.
It was rough.
It was an interesting weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Multiverse of Merriment this week, we're going to talk about Obsession, which we also saw in Charlotte. So that was probably, honestly, besides the last race, probably the highlight of Charlotte was actually going to see Obsession.
That was good.
Talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu, some games we've been playing, and some new trailers that just came out this week. But today, on Mildly Alarmed, we're kind of going to play off the Charlotte thing, I think, because on the way down to Charlotte, we tried to record another episode, and it turned into like a car-based rant about how burned out we both feel about everything. So we decided the rant was fine. It was obviously just going to be a recording of us talking to each other, but we thought we'd think about it a little bit harder and do it again here with a little more thought put into it, but not too much. I think we're just planning on having another freewheeling discussion this week, but I don't know about you. I feel like I'm tired all the time now.
Yeah, I feel, well, burnt out is the word that I think we've been using, and I do feel a little just burnt out. I feel like the motivations aren't as strong or aren't as there. Like there doesn't seem to be, I don't know what my motivation is at the moment, you know? I don't know like what there is to be necessarily excited about or feel positive about of any type of direction. Like if you look on the horizon, like what you could possibly be hoping for in a coming future or something like that, I don't really know what that is. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how things get better from here. I don't know if they ever do. That's just kind of the things I guess I've been feeling lately, is just kind of like lost motivationally, and just kind of taking it day by day, just seeing like, well, we made it through today and we'll go on to tomorrow. But yeah, it's hard to look at like something and feel positive about the future in a meaningful way. Does any of that make sense? I don't know.
No, it makes sense. So uh, in just like a tiny bit of prep for this episode, I actually asked Claude for some strategies to overcome constant burnout because I was curious. But one of the things that it said to start with was to identify the specific flavor of your burnout. And I'm just going to read what it said. It said, burnout from overwork feels different from burnout from underappreciation, which feels different from burnout from misalignment, doing things that don't match your values. And so obviously the fix depends on the cause. But I have been thinking about, because you and I talk a lot about how we're burned out in like all areas. Like we go to work, we're burned out. We turn on the news, we're burned out. We walk out our door, we're burned out. And it's like a kind of cultural, like widespread cultural burnout. And I feel like a lot of it has to come from that last part, which is doing things that don't match your values. And it's not like I know I personally have to do things at work that don't match my values just because the company needs me to do something and I like fire people, for instance, and I just don't want to do that because I would rather we find a use for them, like fill a gap somewhere in the company than just like get rid of talented people. That's just not something that I think is a good thing to do. But obviously I'm not the one making the decision, so it's not my call. I just have to do what the company tells me to do.
Mm.
Um, but at the same time, like when we look around at the world right now, I feel like you and I, and a good majority of the country, feel like the leadership is extremely misaligned on their values compared to where we would want them to be. Um, and I just wonder if like that's really the crux of it is like we're constantly just everything we value and everything we love and everything that like we thought was good is just like under attack all the time, or we're being forced to do things that are misaligned with our own personal values all the time, or just not even forced to do them, but just forced to like sit and watch them play out. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's easy to feel. Um, there does seem to be, I guess, no sense of justice. You're watching corruption happen in front of your face, and the people who you believed was supposed to be there to put those type of people in place to stop stuff like that from happening are going along with it too, or just not being able to do seemingly anything about it. But I think all of us understand and know that there are bad things happening, illegal things happening um, in front of us that no one can seem to be able to do anything about. You know, something that frustrated me was the January 6th fund essentially um, frustrates me because I
Yeah.
remember how that day made me feel. And now it feels like those people are being rewarded and
Yeah. It feels
no
like we're
sense of justice.
celebrating domestic terrorism.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and we all know it's wrong, but they're just kind of letting it happen. And you know, some of the people that they put in prison for that got out and then committed more crimes,
Hmm.
but they're being treated as heroes and they're getting reparations made. And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Um cuz I just don't think that should be the case. Cuz like I said I remember that day vividly and I remember how that day made me feel. Um and I find that wrong. Um I
Yeah. I
find it
mean, you can continue if you want.
I was just going to say I find it wrong that there is a slush fund for dear leader and his friends to continue um, suing people or paying for lawsuits against them. I find it frustrating that we're now using the mighty arm of the legal system to go after Gene Carroll. You know, I'd find these things frustrating. I find these things frustrating that like we were told a long time ago that like we could not afford to pay for everyone to go to college and get college
Hmm.
degrees. We could not afford to forgive the debt that a lot of students find themselves in when they get out a lot of college debt. We could not afford to do that. Like we had not the money to
Yeah.
do that. Yet every day we're spending billions of dollars in Iran doing what? And now the prices are going up.
I think that's the thing that's most annoying to me. But it's annoying to me for a reason that might be a little odd. It's annoying to me that people don't seem to care as much about it as they should.
Mm,
Like we're spending billions of dollars on uh slush funds and wars and a ballroom, even though people are gonna be like, we're not paying for it. Yeah, sure. Uh
I thought we
Trump
were, though. I
is,
thought he's asking for taxpayer money now.
I think he is now, but Trump is making billions of dollars off of cell phones that people aren't getting. Although I heard that maybe some people got something
I
recently,
think
but I
so,
didn't
yeah,
really look into that.
I think some phones did go out
But they were
finally.
like trash phones.
Yeah, they suck.
Like they're his family is making like billions and billions of dollars, and meanwhile I look around and like, you know, I have friends that, and well, and you and I, like, we can't afford to do everything that we want to do. That's just kind of how the world works. But also, all of the things that used to be not that expensive are getting more expensive. Like, we pay a ridiculous amount of money to live in a decent neighborhood in a suburb
Hmm.
and to like eat. Like, it's almost gotten to the point where eating takeout is less expensive than going to the grocery store, which is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to eat trash. Like, we could eat frozen food until the cows come home, I guess, for cheap. But we could also be, have high blood pressure and be really unhealthy doing that. So I don't know. I just like, I feel like people should be more angry about the fact that like they have no money. Trump has an insane amount of money and he's using it in stupid ways. And we can't even, like you said, forgive things like student debt or give out nationalized health care or hell, like do the programs that I believed in when I went to college, which were like USAID. Like
Hmm.
we have Ebola outbreaks around the world now that like we're reacting to slower because we pulled out of the WHO. We're like we're letting people and children in particular die because we didn't feel like giving them money to keep their little health clinics open that they had to walk like 10 miles to go to anyway. But yet Trump can sit in his fancy ballroom, which is probably just the bunker he plans to like get in so that he doesn't have to leave the White House at the end of his term. Like, I don't know. I'm just so like fed up with the apathy and not even just the apathy, the cheering on of it all. Like you and I
Yeah.
have talked about this in a previous episode when we did that Brian Williams episode. He had that line about like they're burning the house down with us inside and no one's saying anything about it, basically. And not only is like no one saying anything about it or doing anything about it, like a good portion of the country is cheering the house burning down around them, and they're not getting anything out of it, and they're just getting poorer, and they're getting less access to healthcare, and they're getting debt that's going to pile up, and like banks that aren't going to be insured, and more ways for them to get ripped off. And I just like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm annoyed at work. I'm annoyed at home. I'm annoyed all the time. And
Yeah.
I think it's that value like thing that Claude brought up because I look around and I'm like, what do you people value? I don't understand. It certainly isn't life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like,
Mm.
what is your deal? What do you want? Just to see everything burn and watch people be sad? That's really like how you're getting off these days. I just don't fucking know.
I think there's an anger there. I mean, I think there's an anger there that comes with being a MAGA supporter that, yes, like I think, you know, they they love to feel oppressed. They have had the grievance and the oppression bit going for a long time. So I think, yes, I think there is a little bit of excitement watching other people suffer, because they themselves have felt like the system left them a long time ago and abandoned them, and that they have suffered in a system that didn't work for them. The
And I
only
don't want to like
problem,
undercount that either, though. Like, let's just state here that like we understand that there are some extreme problems that affect all people
that's what I was
in
going to say,
America.
is the problem though is that they have been told a lie that it's been coming from a different place than where it's been coming from, I feel. So
Sure.
when I say there's an anger there about a system that's left them, they have just been cleverly told that it's coming from someplace else. And so when someone is going out there and destroying a system, because you and I both know that when liberal politics or socialist politics works, people like that are probably going to benefit more so.
Sure.
But that doesn't work for people in power or people with money. That doesn't work. So in this country, a long time ago, we were told stuff like, you too can be a wealthy, whatever it is you want to be, insert. All you have to do is work hard.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Don't be like those lazy liberals who get handouts all the time. Poor people
Yeah.
get handouts and they're losers. But if you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you can be just like me, where my yacht has a yacht. And they believed that. I believed that. I believed that if I, worked hard in college, went and got the degree, got out, I could go be anything I wanted to be. If I worked hard for it. And so I did. I worked hard for it. And it ended up nowhere. I mean, I ended up in the same spot I'm in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that they do enjoy seeing things burn and seeing things crumble, because to them, it's the bad guys getting it, when the guys they are cheering for are really just paving new opportunities for them to gain more off of their backs. And that's why it baffles me that in this day and age, there are people out there willing to carry water for CEOs and billionaires. We all have a common enemy. It's the 1%.
Yeah.
And if we all banded together and realized that, you know how strong we could be to make effective change? But no, but there's still people out there who want to be like, I love my president. It's so great that he's wanting to use my money to build this giant ass ballroom so that he can feel safer inside his palace. And it's just, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there getting kicked out of their homes, and he's building a fucking ballroom, some gaudy ass giant monstrosity
That he tore down half the White House to
that
build.
he tore down half the White House to build. It doesn't even fit anymore where he wanted to put it. And it's just, I don't know, it's fucking crazy that there's so many people out there still being like, he's my president, and I'd rather be poor and living on the street than having a Democrat. I don't know, it's just been frustrating to see, because you and I work really hard and we've played by the rules. And it hasn't worked out. And there was a time when my check that I got was comfortable and I felt good and felt secure. And now I'm looking at it again and I'm living essentially paycheck to paycheck again. And what changed?
Yeah.
I haven't lived any different.
Everything just got more expensive.
That's what I'm saying. It's
but our pay didn't increase to go along with that.
I haven't. And going back to the motivation thing, I feel like I bust my ass and I have worked really hard at the job to craft a reputation for myself. I take what I do very seriously and I want to do a good job for that, because I essentially built that department up myself. And so I take a lot of pride in it. But with that said, there is no rewards or incentives given to it. If I do a good job, I get told, this is awesome, thank you, you're welcome. But there's really no more incentives anymore to really do anything other than just, I'm fortunate to have the job, right?
Yeah, that's
the reward and the incentive. I'm not gonna do anything to get fired. But I'm also,
let's be clear though, that is an incentive these days, and it's one that employers are in fact counting on. Like, I watched dozens to hundreds of my colleagues be fired over the last 3 years or more, and I have survived. So very grateful for that. Very thankful to still have a job. But I know a lot of people who don't, and I know a lot of people who have been looking for a really long time. But the internet is just
been looking.
flooded.
I mean, the incentive is just I guess now the reward, because it did feel like used to, if you did a good job and you got rewarded. I've been rewarded in the past for exceeding expectations. And so I began to, okay, I will continue to work hard and lift up, but the incentives aren't there really. And so it's just, well, this is the job, right? So, I mean, I'm still motivated, like a self-motivated person. So I still continue to do the best, but I can sense where I feel like lately there have been services out there that are failing and are not as good, and things are kind of shitty. Like we go out to restaurants or we go someplace and service is kind of shitty, or like you're trying to handle something with another company and the people there just don't seem to give a fuck what's going on. And I also think that that has to do with something with the incentives. Now, me, I'm a motivated person on my own, so like I feel like our level of service that we're providing where I work has not fallen. I have not allowed it to fall. But I can see where, because there's really no incentive to do a good job other than you get the privilege of working at all in this country now,
Yeah.
I can see where other things are starting to fail, because it does feel like no one's giving a shit anymore about anything. But I also feel like that's because everyone's collectively burnt out, because the people above us are pushing, pushing, pushing for results, for numbers to hit their metrics. And they're just pushing, 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 pushing. And so everyone in the world is just burned out and everyone wants to quit doing whatever they're wanting to do.
I feel like I've been tracking my own feeling of being burned out, and it's been about 3 years now. Um, so, like, has anything changed about the way that I work? No, not really. Uh, I might work a little bit less overtime than I used to because I just can't deal with it, like, my brain just turns off.
Mhm.
Um, but that's kinda why I asked Claude, like, "Give me some strategies." Maybe we could talk about something positive at the end of this episode about, like, how to get over your burnout. Um, but honestly, like, its answers were kind of just lame. Uh,
Would it say like sing Kumbaya or something like that? Go
no,
out and build a fire in the yard?
it said things like reframe rest as productive, not lazy, but, like, I think we all know how important rest is. I feel like that's been talked about kinda to death. Um, it said, well, one thing that, could be potentially useful, as I said, reduce decision fatigue deliberately, which I definitely feel this. I hate making constant decisions, and it's all I do all day long. And it's often all I do in the evenings is just decide things for everyone around me at all times. Um, and so it kind of just said, like, create routines, or like make set schedules so that you don't have to decide something, you just follow and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for like especially off hour things, and then like small acts of agency, just doing hobbies and things. Okay, we all get that. One that I thought was interesting was it said that you should lower the bar for good enough in low priority areas because perfectionism and burnout are really closely linked, which
Hmm.
is true. But
I like
I
that.
honestly feel like we've all been burned out for so long that, like, I don't really strive for perfectionism anymore. And I frankly have too much work to strive for perfectionism. Like, we've lost so many people, uh, like, just collectively at work, both you and I think, and just everyone else, that, like, our workloads have, like, doubled or tripled, and but we're all supposed to be able to work faster because we have AI now. Um, and I don't have time to make everything perfect.
I feel that. I mean, in my own job, I think I still strive for that. I still want things to go perfectly whenever we're doing an event or a video or anything. I want it to be perfect. Like I still want that, because I still have that drive to that'll never leave. I'm competitive. So I still have that like drive to
But
be
you
better.
also do things like live events. You can't really
Right.
80% a
I don't
live
want to F
event.
that up, right? That has to
Yeah.
be perfect. But I also feel that it doesn't matter, because I can have 6 perfect live events, say, that go well.
Mm.
Um, and then maybe there's one thing, forget to do my timesheet or misspell a word on a document or another site has a problem on a microphone, and then next thing you know, it doesn't even fucking matter how many perfect ones you went. You got to deal with this bullshit. But that's what I mean. It's like I can see where it's very easy to feel like, what's the point of anything? If you do a good job, you could still just get screwed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you do a good, like I said, if you do a good job, well, it's like, well, you did your job, right? That's what we were expecting.
Yeah, that's what you got hired to do.
That's what you got hired to do. So what do you want us to do? We're going to give you a raise? You want us to pat you on the back, give you an award? This is what we hired you to do. So if you do it perfectly 10 times and then you fuck up one time,
Do you think though that like rewarding people for doing their job has gotten a little cringe though?
maybe.
I've kind of wondered if just like over the years, uh like coaching theories and like professional managerial strategies just haven't kept up with the times. I know that like lots of workplaces have like ways to like shout out employees, whether it be like,
Mhm.
a channel in your workplace communications app or an employee of the month style situation.
Mhm.
But I feel like culturally, all of those things feel a little cringe these
Do you
days.
feel like it's like a slap in the face to be considered employee of the
Maybe,
month?
like, especially if you're not being rewarded any other way, right? So, like, there's no raise, there's no
That's what I'm saying.
promotion.
Yeah.
There's just like, you did great. Let's talk
You
about how
great
you
job.
did great. And it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
okay.
here's a certificate. Um yeah, I can see that.
It does feel better when it's coming like from outside the org, when it comes from like a
Yeah,
customer and they're
yeah, I
like, you
do.
did a great job. But
Right.
like, you
That is
are
something.
customer facing. My team is
Yes.
not, which means that the only way that we could theoretically be recognized is internally by the company. And most people just forget we exist until they have something to yell at us about.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does feel better. I think it is more rewarding when it comes from somebody outside your organization. Like if it's another group you're working with and then they decide to take the time to say that you did a good job, I think that feels better than maybe someone internally being like, "Hey, I want to recognize you for this." It's like, "Well, thanks. Unless you're going to pay me more, which you're not."
I felt that way too. I feel like one of the things that I miss about what I used to do, now it also drove me nuts, but I used to be more customer facing. And it was nice when people were like, you fixed this problem for me that was like a pain point for my business for months.
Mhm.
And now we have everything like perfectly the way we want it. And like we've seen um positive changes based on what you did. Like that's
That's
and I'm
nice.
being intentionally vague, but like
Yeah.
it's just
That would be nice.
it's nice to hear, especially when you're impacting someone where it's like for you, this is their event, or for me, like this is their like small business. I feel like
There
that
are
feels like you're making a positive change in the world, but when like your company is just like, "Hey, you did that thing we hired you for. Good job." It's like,
yeah. There are 2 moments in my life that I got recognized for something that I am legitimately, and I got nothing out of it other than an attaboy,
mm,
but I was legitimately proud of that. And I, without going into detail, for another group of people who ran something, they recognized me for the job that I did, and that felt nice. And then another time, I did something for a completely different group, outside of my group, and they gave me an award, and I was really happy about that.
yeah,
Um, that was nice. Those
yeah,
were the 2 times that I got like an email or an award, a PDF, and I was legitimately happy about that. I
yeah,
was like, crap, but because it came with nothing else. It came with nothing else. It was just, but it was, I don't know, because it was outside of the group of what I normally do, and I'm going out of my way to help, and they've asked for my help, and I delivered on that. It made everyone else look good. It made us look good. They took the time to say something. That felt good that they took that time to say something. And that was nice.
Yeah. I feel like our brains are just like, oh, and I know that this is true. Our brains are hardwired to remember the bad things more than the good things, right? So like
Yeah.
if your company tells you once, like, hey, you did a great job. Here's your, you know, little award for the month about how you did a great job. But then like 3 times a year fires people
Yeah.
for layoffs or whatever. It just it doesn't like equal out like the overwhelming feeling of like anxiety and dread isn't resolved by the one time that you got an award. Whereas like if it's a customer or, external vendor or something and I've had vendors tell me that like my team is their favorite team to work with or um that our product is the favorite one that they work with because they know that my team will communicate properly about it. Like that has historically meant more because I don't have an underlying negative relationship
Hmm.
with them. Like we've just worked together for a really long time. We had a good working relationship. I assumed they had pretty good working relationships with other people and then come to find out we're their favorite because they actually don't. Um so I don't know, but I don't know like what the I think I actually struggle with this as a manager. Like I don't and con this entire chat has now devolved a little bit, but I just I don't know how to make recognition not cringy when an environment is quite negative.
Trying to make it so the environment is negative, but you're trying to. I get that.
Like, 'cause it was much easier in, like, my previous company where everybody was happy all the time and, like, didn't feel overly stressed except, like, you had, like, 1 project a month where you were trying to hit a deadline or something like that, but, like, it was otherwise pretty chill and friendly and there were good vibes. It felt much more authentic to then go to people and be like, "You did such a great job. Thank you so much for helping me. Like, this is amazing." And there was much more of, like, a authentic sharing of positive feedback and like give and take with other teams and departments and people and things. But like now, I feel like because everybody's so like anxious and depressed and stressed and overworked, it just
Yeah,
doesn't hit
it
as
just
hard,
doesn't. It
you
doesn't
know?
feel as good. Yeah, it doesn't hit as hard
Yeah.
because the reward isn't strong enough to
Yeah.
outweigh the stress and anxiety.
But it actually kind of goes back to what you were talking about in the beginning about like kind of the American dream. Like you work hard and you get the education and you get the job and you just continue to work hard, work your way up the ladder. Like it doesn't exist anymore. And this started a little bit, I think, when you and I were first getting out of college. I remember articles coming out being like, millennials are switching jobs much more frequently than their
I
parents
remember
did.
those. Yeah.
Like, why is this a thing? This is so weird. Why are they doing that? And it was like, well, there was no upward mobility at the company that I was working at. And so the only way
Yep.
I was going to get like a raise or a promotion was to go to a different company. And that
No,
just didn't
same.
really happen much to our parents, I
No,
feel
same.
like.
I've never been given a raise off of merit. Listen. I've never been given a. Every time that I have ever gotten a raise, it was because of threat of leaving to go someplace else, and I started a bidding war.
Mm,
Unintentionally. I was out the door just to leave, but because they were going to pay me more money. It just turns out that the side I was with, and I don't know if I should be offended by that, but the side I was with all of a sudden found money out their ass. But I've never been like given a raise on merit. They made me a team lead and I never got a raise for that. I just decided to do that because I wanted the challenge of doing it. I wanted to see if I could. But I never got compensated for that. So I mean,
yeah. I mean,
it was
like,
just
my experience is different there because I have been exceptionally lucky in that regard. I've had multiple promotions and raises at the companies that I've worked for most recently. But the one like, the companies that I used to work for, there was absolutely no way for me to get out of the departments that I was in or get any sort of promotion or raise. I just happened to get lucky and fall into a couple of tech companies that either I mean, the former one definitely rewarded you for doing good work. The current one does a little bit, but it depends who your manager is. Um, but like, I don't know. I think it comes down to like a loyalty thing. It's just hard to feel like I feel a sense of loyalty where I work to the people that I work with, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily feel a sense of loyalty to the company that I work for. Now, that doesn't mean I will do any less good of a job or will make decisions that aren't what I think are in the best interests of that company because that's just how I do work. But
Hmm. That's just your personal
I
integrity, right?
yeah, but I also I believe that the people that I work for would like to see me stay at the company. I don't necessarily believe that the company at large
Would care.
cares
Yeah.
if I
I
stay or
yeah.
not.
I I like hmm. Yeah, I feel a sense of loyalty to the people that I work around. The customers, I love them.
Yeah,
I want to do a good job for them. The company, I like them. I've met them, hung out with them. They seem nice, but at the end of the day, their company, it's a business. If they got rid of me,
you're a
it
number
probably
on
wouldn't
page,
take
right?
them. They probably wouldn't think about it too long. You know what I mean? Like, but I
Yeah.
understand that. It's like I
Yeah,
get
but
it.
I just don't feel like that used to be the case.
No, I don't think so either. Because our parents, when you were saying why millennials are changing so much and why they were so baffled by that, was because our parents would get a job at a place and that was where they worked,
Yeah,
right?
for like 40 or 50 years.
My mom worked for the state her life, her career, you know. Um, Dad jumped around a little bit. That's because he couldn't hold a job, but wasn't, their fault. He was just a little volatile at times. But Um, yeah, like that was just the tradition. You would get a job at a place and you would stay there and you would work for them. And there was that sense of loyalty. Now there's not. It's just you get a job at a spot and you're like, well, I'll ride this out until it is no more. And I
Yeah.
hope that I'm able to get as many years as I can out of this before it comes falling tits up, whatever. But
But
that
that
just kind
just
of seems now
it
I've
sucks. It sucks so much because like you and I have both spent a decade or more at our current employers.
been lucky.
And it feels like we have invested a lot. And like you said, you built a team from the ground up and like a department from the ground up. I inherited a team, but expanded it pretty significantly and kind of absorbed other teams. It created um, ways of processing things and whatnot in my company. Like, it feels like we each put a lot of ourselves and a lot of thought and time and dedication into building parts of our workplaces. And, but we have no sense of ownership or stake or loyalty like back at us. Like, I don't know. I've had leaders above me tell me that they obviously value my contributions and they see me as somebody who's helped build things. But I know that that doesn't really extend any further and it doesn't really mean very much. Like, I have a friend, for instance, who works at a company where it's a very small company. They have less than 100 employees. They've been that way forever. And every employee there owns stock in the company.
Hmm.
That's a different kind of job. That's a different kind of sense of ownership and loyalty. I don't know. We've gotten pretty far afield from like I feel really burned out, but it's just something about our culture I feel like needs to change to bring us all back from the brink of burnout. Does that make
Definitely, but
sense?
I don't know. I don't even know what that would be. Um, I don't know what that even would even look like now. Um, I feel like the work culture has just steadily gotten worse since you and I started our careers.
Yeah.
Um, I know that like the culture of where I work has gotten worse. Morale is at an all-time low. We spend a lot of our days when we have free time and we're sitting around talking in between events or waiting for the next event to start. A lot of our conversation is nostalgia. Oh, remember
Yeah.
back in the day when such and such worked here, we used to do this, or remember how we used to do that? Man, that was cool when we used to do that.
Same.
It's we're longing for the past. Um because the future looks bleak as fuck. And
Yeah.
but I don't know what you do to fix it. I don't know if there we just all grow accustomed to the current work culture and then maybe 10 years from now we're like looking back on these days being like, "Man, do you remember when that was?"
It's weird though, because I feel like midway through our journeys in the last 15 years, like some companies were figuring it out, like the companies that give you ownership, the companies who do like, which my company actually does this, but like unlimited vacation days, the
Mm,
companies who do have like incentivized or like standardized raises. There are companies that have like a never fire clause and they will just work with you to train you to keep getting the most out of you. There
mhm.
are companies that like figured out that if they put a lot of effort into the people who work for them, they will get more in return.
Well,
Like
that's
the
true.
unlimited PTO thing. People actually tend to take less PTO when they have unlimited PTO because they're not trying to satisfy like a number of days per year. They don't feel like they need to use it all or it's gone because they know at any time they can take whatever they want, basically.
I think it would
Like,
work for me, but I do have one employee I'd probably never see again.
probably. Well, but if you take too much, you obviously get spoken to and get
Sure.
fired. You can't
I'd
just
I'd
not
I'd probably
work. Like, that's not how that
unlimited
works.
PTO. I'd never see that son of a bitch again. But
But like, but you know what I'm saying? Like there were things that have been figured out in our lifetime that are real positives that keep people from feeling burned out, that keep people engaged, that keep people feeling like they have a stake in their company and that their company has a actual like stake in their development, like that their company cares about them. But so few companies have adopted that, and we've gone into this like backlash phase of like employees had it too good.
yeah, yeah.
Let's just ruin their lives from
Let's
now
ruin their
until they
lives.
die.
No, I think that's a good point. I mean, I think investing in your employee base is always good. I think if companies, I don't know what their profit margins are or what they need to be, but if companies realize that like, hey, cost of living is getting a little insane, we need to we need to compensate for that by bringing our employees up to a level that's above the waterline. I used to feel like I was above the water line, but the water has reached my ankles, and we need to try to get out of the water. I think that's something that maybe they should do, or I do like the idea of investing in their education and those kinds of things.
I don't know what we do to fix any of this, but I also I don't want to put it all on our companies like they're just making bad decisions because they hate us all. Like the amount of stress that we're all feeling, I understand that the leaders, well, some of the leaders of our organizations are feeling kind of the same amount of stress and they're seeing like because the economy is so bad, like people aren't spending as much, so they're having to do more to get investment from people or to get more people to buy their products and like so the squeeze is real on everyone. Your case is a little bit different just because of the nature of what you do, but
I'm about to say,
they're
it's
being
a little
squeezed in a
different.
different way.
I'm about to say, it's like we don't have that problem.
Um,
We have a
but
different problem.
but you kind of do because in your way, um, funds are being withheld, and thus
Yes.
you have to fire people. It's just different for for-profit companies and private companies. So, like, um, I don't know. I just I'm aware of the fact that, like, everything sucks, but it
Yeah,
just feels like
I don't think there's any
we
good
could
place to
have.
go.
No, I think the number of places to go that feel like sanctuaries has severely gone down since the time of, like, you know, awesome tech culture. Now it's kind of like tech work until you die or get replaced by a robot.
That's it. But again, I think that's the current work culture to where the employers want the employees to feel like they are privileged to be here and we can take this away at any moment.
Yeah, we're
So
kind of
you,
back to being treated like children. I think for like a little while, work culture was like, we're going to treat you like adults finally. And you're going to have a lot of freedom and it's going to like co-equal your responsibility and you're actually going to rise to the occasion because we're not treating you like a liability. We're treating you like an asset. And then COVID hit. And weirdly, at the beginning of COVID, like my company did better that year than it had done in any previous year because everybody was actually happy. We weren't
I had
wasting
a
2 hours a day traveling to work,
I
and
had
it
a
was
great
great.
time during COVID.
Yeah,
I tell people all the time like the best time it was actually for my mental health was actually during COVID. I
yeah,
felt more valued than I ever have working there than I did during COVID. Then that was also because of the nature of my business. What I provided, the service that I provided, I was very much sought after.
yeah.
But mental health wise, I felt great. It was
But it
amazing.
seems like there was a backlash to that, like, which doesn't make it any sense because, like I said, like our company was more profitable that year than they had been for the past like 5.
But
And yet, for
don't,
some reason, employers saw all of that and were like, we gave
I
them
think
too
they lost
much.
control, but I think they lost control a little bit. I think they were like, this seems too
But, like,
off
my
the
I guess
leash.
I guess I just don't understand why you would care if you lost control if you are making more money than you ever made before.
I mean, but don't you kind of agree that during COVID, socialism and putting priorities on people and making was kind of prioritized during that time?
Sure, yeah, I think we got a
Like
taste
we
of
did,
what we got, like, the barest taste of what socialism might actually be like if we were to
yes,
apply it
we
to our
had
lives.
to,
Yeah.
under those circumstances, technically socialists got to see a sample size of what we've been preaching and
Because,
then
like,
immediately,
we were getting money from the government for
yeah, and then
reasons that were
immediately after
unknown.
that,
Yeah.
everyone on the other, we swerved back the other way, and I feel like we overcorrected back in the other
Oh.
direction. We got to get, it was almost like, they were like, we got to get a handle on this. We got to get our people back in and we got to put the thumb down. We got to make sure people remember their place. I know you felt like you had it good when you were at the house and you had more time with your family. You had more time for your hobbies. I don't want none of that shit. I don't want none of that rainbow and unicorn shit. We got to get a handle on this. Got to tighten that leash.
I do wonder if that's part of it because I remember, like I like you, I also thought that, like, working from home because I hadn't up to that point. Now I
Neither
do
did
all the
I
time.
didn't think I
But,
would like
like,
it.
no, I didn't think I would like it either, but I
I loved it.
did.
I loved it.
And to be fair, like, I was spending 2 hours a day commuting, so, when it should
Listen,
have been, like, 20 minutes because traffic was so bad where I lived at the time. But, like, I
I
could,
was,
go on walks during lunch with my dog, or I could, work from my porch
yeah,
if I wanted to. Like, there was just
I take a
there
walk
was
around the
so much.
neighborhood for lunch.
And to be clear, I also got divorced at the beginning of COVID. So, like, I should have been having a terrible time, and
Yeah,
I had a great time. Um, so I just I don't I don't
it was
know.
nice. I loved it. I loved it. And I felt so productive and I felt so needed and utilized in such positive ways. I felt on top of the world. 2020 was probably the last best year of my life.
I just feel like we could have taken positive lessons out of that, and that would have led to a more thoughtful approach to this AI revolution that we're in currently. But because it wasn't, and it kind of sent a backlash at workers. Now we're, instead of the dream of the future where like AI does all the tedious crap and we get to just, do the parts of our jobs that might actually bring us some satisfaction,
Hmm.
or have more leisure time or more time to spend with our families. Now we're in a situation where it's like, well, AI is going to do some of the tedious parts of your job, but we're not going to really train you how to do it, and we're not really going to help you much. We're just going to keep firing people and giving you more work. And you also have to figure out how to make AI do some of that for you to make it faster. Otherwise, you're going to drown. Um, but you have to do all of that at the same time. And you have to be in a good headspace about it because you can't let the depression and anxiety demotivate you. But you're going to feel it constantly because we're going to let people go every 3 months. Um, so yeah, that's where we are.
That's where we at. That's where we at right now, man.
I'm honestly very worried about the fact that like we are like thousands of people have been let go of jobs and they keep being like, there's more jobs out there, they'll find more jobs. But like every time I log on to LinkedIn, which I do only to play games, let's be clear, but every time I open up LinkedIn, I just see one more post of somebody being like, I've applied to 1,500 jobs in the last 12 months and I have gotten 3 callbacks and 2 that led to a second interview. And then I was told that the company decided to go in a different direction. And thus I continue my search, but I'm feeling very demotivated. Like I want to
Well,
kill myself. Like that's all I'm seeing online these days. And we're just adding more and more people to that group constantly. So like
well,
I'm just I'm very concerned about the
two
fact that
things.
we're going to end up just in a complete Fallout 4 kind of wasteland.
Two things. Well, three things now. One, I'm really good at Fallout 4, so we're okay. Two, um, those people now have plenty of time to garden and work on art. And three,
Which they can't
I
buy
think
the things to do because they don't have any
hey,
money.
not what I said. Just that's what I was told, that what AI would have give us the ability. I can finally continue just working on those books I write. Three, I think I did see something the other day where Pete Hegdes was like, because we're in all these wars, all the defense contracts are going to create 1,000,000 jobs. 1,000,000 jobs.
Great.
So
We'll
we
just
have,
go to war with each other as
we'll
the
just,
resolution for things.
hey, well, I'll tell you what, we can go to war with the whole world and that will create job opportunities for everybody because we need everyone here building stuff and or fighting this war. So that's going to create 1,000,000 jobs. So there we go. That's a positive.
Great.
At least we're going to be paid. So there you go. That's a positive we can end on.
All right. Well, I don't really know how to wrap this episode up. If you're one of those people that's still positive about the future, please leave us a comment so Justin and I don't decide to jump off a bridge. We won't. I'm kidding. We have dogs and cats to keep us company when the apocalypse
I'm
comes
afraid of
for us.
heights anyway. I wouldn't jump off a bridge.
You can find Mildly Alarmed on YouTube, YouTube Music, and Spotify Tuesdays at 6 a.m. If you want to hear more about how we got in this headspace, Turn 4 comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. And if you want just to pick me up, Multiverse of Merriment comes out Thursdays at 6 a.m.
It's going to be a good
Which
show
we
this week.
do, yeah, we do to pick ourselves back up. So, until next time.
Take it easy.